All right, let's talk about a company that is probably in your kitchen right now, PepsiCo. They just dropped their latest quarterly results, and honestly, it tells a really fascinating story about what we're all buying, and maybe more importantly, why. So let's get into it and unpack how a snack and soda giant is navigating one of the trickiest consumer markets we've seen in a long time.
So, the big headline number is this. PepsiCo's net revenue grew by almost 3%. Now, you might hear that and think, 3%? But in this economy, that's actually a pretty solid number, which, of course, leads to the real question.
Exactly. How is a company known for treats and snacks getting us to open our wallets when everyone is trying to save a buck? That is the puzzle we're going to solve today. And the answer, as you'll see, is a tale of two very different stories, one happening overseas and one happening right here at home.
Okay, so first things first, let's look at the scorecard, because that 3% growth number, it really doesn't tell the whole story. You have to peel back the onion a little bit, and when you do, you see a pretty dramatic split.
And this is where it gets really interesting. On one hand, their international business is just on an absolute tear. Get this, it's their 18th straight quarter of strong growth. Think about that. But then you look at North America, and it's a whole different ballgame. Shoppers are feeling the pressure, and that's forcing PepsiCo to get really scrappy, focusing on innovation while also cutting costs.
So let's dig into those headwinds, because this is the challenge that is shaping basically every single decision they're making right now. It's a squeeze on both ends, on the people buying the Doritos, and on the company making them.
And you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from their own leadership says it all. You see those keywords? Constrained budgets and a laser focus on good value. And that term, good value, it doesn't just mean cheap anymore.
So, what on earth does good value even mean today? Well, it's kind of like a mental checklist we all have. First, obviously, is it affordable? Can I actually buy it? Second, is it permissible? Can I feel okay about eating this? Maybe it has cleaner ingredients. And third, does it do something for me? That's functionality. Think extra protein, or maybe some gut-friendly prebiotics.
And while we're all feeling the pinch, so is PepsiCo. Things like higher supply chain costs and tariffs literally took a 3 percentage point bite out of their core earnings per share. So you can see the squeeze is coming from both directions. Cautious shoppers on one side and rising costs on the other.
So what do you do when you're fighting a battle on two fronts? Well, PepsiCo has laid out a super clear three-pronged strategy. This is their game plan for getting through this.
The plan is pretty straightforward. Number 1, change the products themselves. Number 2, get those products in front of more people. And number 3, cut costs behind the scenes to help pay for it all. For this explainer, we're going to zero in on the two you can really see and feel, how they're changing what's in the bag and how they're trimming the fat.
Pillar 1 is all about what's inside the package. This is where those ideas of permissibility and functionality really come alive. They're yanking artificial ingredients from their biggest brands, and they're adding things like protein and fiber. And they're also getting way smarter with something they call price pack architecture. It's just a fancy term for offering different sizes for different budgets. So whether you've got $1 or $5, there's something for you. And this, well, this is the other side of that coin. Getting lean, and I mean really lean. They are simplifying everything. Since 2022, they've cut over a third of their product variations. Think about that. A third of all the different flavors and sizes just gone. They're automating warehouses, closing facilities, and yeah, making tough calls, like reducing the Frito-Lay workforce by about 7% so far this year.
Okay, enough of the boardroom strategy. What does any of this actually look like for you and me in the grocery aisle? Let's connect the dots from their plan to the stuff we actually buy.
You can see the changes happening to brands we've known forever. Your classic Lay's and Tostitos, they're getting a makeover. No artificial colors or flavors. Doritos and Cheetos are getting a new NKD line, which, you guessed it, stands for Naked of Artificials. And even the flagship Pepsi is leaning into that functionality trend with a new prebiotic version.
And they are going all in on these functional products. They bought Poppy, that popular prebiotic soda. Gatorade's getting a lower sugar version. They're launching a Starbucks coffee with added protein, a Propel protein water, and get this, they're even introducing Doritos protein. Yes, you heard me right, protein Doritos. They are betting big time that you want your snacks to work harder for you.
So, after all that, where does this leave them? Let's take a quick look at their forecast for the rest of the year, because it really sets up the final and most important question.
So their official outlook is, well, it's cautious, but it's resilient.
They're basically saying expect slow and steady growth. They plan to keep profits about the same as last year, all while, and this is huge, returning about $8.6 billion to shareholders. That shows they're still really confident, even if the road ahead is a little bumpy.
And that right there brings us to the real takeaway. PepsiCo is making a massive bet. They're betting they can take these iconic, indulgent snacks and transform them into healthier, more functional versions of themselves, all while making their business leaner. The multi-billion-dollar question is simple. Will we, the consumers, actually buy it? Are we ready for a protein-packed Dorito and a prebiotic Pepsi? The answer is going to define the future of this entire industry.